Hello.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the pod.
It's sunny today. That
It
can be
is.
a
It
win.
wasn't. I'll tell you for free, when I took my dog out this morning at 3:45 in the morning, it was raining. So,
Is there a place where we pay for weather updates? I've never seen that, but
well, at 3:45 in the morning, I didn't even know if I had pants on when I went outside, so the weather was not really the
yeah,
top of my concerns.
good job. Yeah, I guess that's the good thing about having if you have a child that isn't feeling well, that you don't have to take them outside
And
to
then
go to the
meanwhile, I'm
bathroom.
over here on the 24th floor being like, yeah, one sec, let me get you outside. Also
Oh,
crazy that it was literally 3:45 in the morning the second time my dog woke me up last night, and these people on my floor were having a party. Like there was like music and like all these voices coming from their apartment, and I was like, it is
excuse me?
3:45 on a Tuesday technically, but
Tuesday.
like you had a party on a Monday night. What is happening?
I mean, maybe they're service workers and they like don't work. That,
Maybe. And
but
then it's
like,
like,
but also, why?
also, why are you up at 4 in the morning? Like I had a lot of questions, and then I got a lot of answers because two of the people came like out of the apartment to leave, so they took the elevator with me, and I couldn't even see the color of their eyeball. So I said, oh, that's why you're awake at 4 a.m.
Oh,
So, and
it's
then
all so clear now.
they like looked at me because I was in like whatever clothes I found first, and they were like, you're up early, and I was like, don't talk to me right now.
Or late.
Also, literally don't speak to me right now. Does it look like I'm in a state of like wanting to make friends?
I guess that's like the downfall of having an apartment is if you run into somebody at 3 o'clock in the morning, they might want to have a conversation
Yeah.
with
I'm
you.
like,
That
listen,
doesn't happen in my house.
no, I'm like, listen, my dog almost pooped her pants. Don't talk to me right now. I'm busy. I got other things to do.
Mm.
So it was the adventures. And then
Well,
the hours went on of me having to go out every like hour and a half. I just saw like new groups of people, like the business people or like the early morning workouters started to
mm,
come the next couple times after that. And I was like, this makes more sense.
you're like, oh wow, all these people. Yeah, well, that sucks. I'm sorry that your doggy isn't feeling well.
We have coffee, and to the YouTube peeps, she's sleeping on the floor because only one of us has a job. So neither of us slept last night, but somebody gets to now. So that's fine.
Oh, yeah,
The
that's
joys
terrible.
of
And
parenthood.
do you notice how I'm not like, well, it's not the same because she's a dog. Because both are hard and both can exist at the
Yeah.
same time. Both things are hard in different ways.
And I
And
also don't sacrifice my sleep schedule for anyone because I'm 26 and single, so I don't have to. So when my sleep takes a hit, I'm not that pleasant to be around because it's not very often that my sleep is impacted
it's
by anything.
I mean, yeah, there are days that I feel like as a parent to a human child, it worse than others because um if your dog doesn't sleep all night, there's a good chance they're going to sleep all day. The toddler does not. And that's the only time I will say that it is worse because you still have to keep that small child alive and entertain.
Yeah.
And I can only say that because my littlest little, not the doggo's fine. The human child has a stuffy nose. So I got to listen to her all night in my face because, of course, why would you want to sleep in your own bed when you're sick?
I'm sleeping on top of mom. My dog was also in my bed
Yeah,
last night, if that makes you feel any better.
a
We
little,
live parallel lives, just with
a
different
little,
creatures.
a little. It does make me feel a little bit better.
I had to share a bed with a 105-pound dog, so
Yeah, I suppose a 25-pound child is easier. But that it's funny. I was listening to a podcast today about it's it's a it's a mom podcast. I don't even remember. I think it's called Childproof. It's really good. It's from two TikTok mom influencers.
Okay. Yeah.
But they're both like super relatable. Like one of them has green hair and her like handle is Mama Cusses. And they're just like totally like normal parents. And they had a little rant session today. And that kind of reminded me of what I wanted to rant to Jill about. And that's going to be what our podcast is about. But the podcast itself was hilarious because she's like, I'm going to rant about something and it's going to send you spiraling to like her co-host. It's like, wow, you guys are just like me and Jill.
Yeah, they just get each other going. Do you have a win for the week?
Do I have a win? Um, yes, it's gonna sound like a non-win, but actually no, I'm gonna save that for something else. But so I we went to Bike Fest on Saturday as a fam. We rode our bikes from our house to where the venue was. And it was like 45-minute bike ride. And we did like some trails, some single track, some pavement, all with my kiddo on the shotgun seat, which is like you ride like in front on my bike. And we went there and they had like beer garden and they had ice cream. So we got a snack. We talked to some friends, we had a beer, and then we rode home. So we did like 20K with the little on my bike and it was great. She had a blast.
I love that.
So yeah, it was kind of a big like milestone of like we can go out and do like super fun things. And everybody was like, oh my God, look at her. That's so cute. And I was like, I've not seen one of these before. This is mountain biking. Closely followed by people that are like, oh my God, you took her on the trail. And I'm like, yeah.
And look,
And they're
she's
like, and then they say, I could never. And I say, then don't.
then don't. That's fine.
I think my win is that we got to do that thing, but I think my other win is that people say the randomest things to parents. And I think I finally have a standard set of answers. Because most people are like, I could never do that. I could never take my kid hiking. I could never take my kid mountain biking. I'm like, well, don't.
That's fine. No one's forcing you to.
Did I say that? Or, you know, where they're like, oh, it must be so nice that she's like sleeping through the night. And I'm just like, she's not. I just like flat. I just like say like the truth. And they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, don't be.
That's fine.
She's 2. Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Can't make her sleep.
No.
You can't make kids sleep. You can't make them eat. And you can't make them go to the bathroom. So where does that leave us?
Such is life.
With coffee. With coffee.
Yeah. Totally fair. My one is pretty simple, but I'm like way too excited about it. I ordered myself new pillows,
Oh.
which I'm not gonna lie, I didn't realize how expensive pillows were.
Okay, sleeping pillows or like decorative pillows?
Sleeping pillows.
Okay.
Because I've been putting it off for like ever, but the last few nights I've woken up with like my arms asleep or my like neck hurts because all of a sudden my pillows just turned into pancakes and I'm not really sure what happened, but that's not the vibe for me. So I was at Costco no, why do I keep saying Costco? That's like the 3rd time I've said Costco today and not meant it. I was at IKEA last week and I put my head on every single pillow and all of them were garbage. And the only one I liked was $109. And I said, that's not happening. I'm not spending $110 on a pillow. So I ordered a couple off Amazon last night. This is my 11:45 p.m. purchase as I was trying to get comfy in my bed. I was like, screw it. I'm ordering pillows. So I ordered them.
Wait, you were on your phone in bed?
Yeah, because
we just talked about this.
I literally rolled over and I said, I'm ordering pillows right now. I threw a tantrum because I was like, spent like 20 minutes trying to get comfy. And I was like, that's it. I'm ordering pillows right now. So good old Amazon came in and they'll be here today. And I'm literally so excited. I guess it's not a win yet because I don't know if the pillows are going to be good or not. But they have to be better than my current ones. And I feel like that's a very adult win to be excited about new pillows. But
can I just say that I have been traumatized by pillows before because I have a poorly neck, as
Mhm.
you all know, and broad shoulders, and that doesn't mix. And I sleep on my side, so it's a terrible combo. And I did find ones that I like, but they're like, it's like a the brand is like a like as seen on TV brand kind of thing. And then it turned out that the dude was like a big like he's just like a bad dude. So then like and I was like, but you actually make good pillows, like
Can I still buy your
oh,
pillows?
the drama. And then I got to the point where like it was so flat that I would like roll it and like
Mm.
safety pin it together so that it was thicker, which is so bad because you know how many times I got poked with a damn safety pin. Um, but I did find one that I really love for home at Bed Bath and Beyond. And then what happened? Bed Bath and Beyond closed down in
Oh
Canada.
yeah, I forgot.
So I could not get it. And I did find one at IKEA, and I don't remember how much it cost, but that one is at the cabin and it's okay. It's a little big, which I think it'll go down over time, but buying a sleeping pillow is very stressful
Yeah. I mean, the only perk is like
because
if
you
I hate
just
it,
don't know.
I can just send it back to Amazon.
I guess,
Um,
you know.
but I did read the reviews and I made sure people were like side sleepers and they lots of people said they had to take some of the stuffing out of their pillows, which is
Interesting.
never a problem for me. So I'm hopeful. And also the biggest perk is that it was like over like I ordered them at 11:45 last night and they'll be here today. So I literally don't even have to go another night with my garbage pillows. So
I don't know. I don't know what I like. I know people like to like Amazon is terrible, whatever,
how do
but
they do it?
sometimes you just need things immediately.
And I don't really understand how they make that happen. Like, how did I put an order in at midnight last night and it's going to be here today? Like, I don't really understand, but I
Well,
love.
because they have giant warehouses of all the things
But it's
close
still
by.
just like
That's how.
crazy to me that you can be like purchase, and it's like cool, it'll be here in 12 hours, and you're like, what?
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Yeah.
we'll see. Stay tuned for next week's pod to see if my pillows were garbage or not. But we're gonna cross our fingers that they're great. So
The
it was
pillow
just like
saga continues
it was just
next
one of
week.
those little purchases that I kept putting off because no one wants to make the adult purchases, but
But
investing in your sleep,
okay,
great plan.
here's the thing. Okay, so you tried IKEA. It wasn't going to happen. Bed Bath and Beyond isn't a thing anymore. It is online, but like we if you're trying to buy a pillow, you kind of want to try it in person
Yeah.
too, right? Where do you buy a pillow? If not IKEA, if not Bed Bath and Beyond, because it's not a thing anymore. Home Outfitters is not a thing anymore.
Like, do I have
What
to go to like
are you like
I've
the
tried them at
Bay?
Walmart, but
Oh, Walmart. I never even thought of going to
then
Walmart.
what's the difference between Walmart and Amazon at that point? Like I might as well, you know,
Well, and I was like, am I supposed to go to like the Bay? Like
or like a
like a
mattress store.
like a department store. I'm not going to a mattress store because I don't want the mattress salesperson like up in my business the
I'm
second I
just here
walk
for
in
a
the door,
pillow.
trying to get commission on my pillow.
Yeah.
No offense if you're a salesperson, but like chill.
When you don't need a mattress, I'm not going to a mattress store. Even
Well,
I needed a mattress and I still didn't go to a mattress store. So
and like literally even we went to the Brick to like I picked out our chair and our couch online. All I wanted to do was go and sit on it to make sure that I liked it in person. And then the person was like, yeah, like here's my card, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, look, I'm just sitting
don't
on it.
bother me.
And then she was like, well, I can maybe get you like a discount if you come back and like buy from me. And my cell phone number's on here. And I was like, easy. And I was like, there is no doubt in my mind right now. I'm leaving this store and I'm going to order online in the car.
That's what I love about IKEA is nobody bothers you because it's all like
Yes.
self-serve, you know? So I like
Yes.
walked through and flopped myself on every pillow in IKEA and nobody
Yeah.
bothered me the entire
And
time.
like, I think we're in a stage where not everybody wants to deal with a customer service representative.
I don't want your help.
I
I don't
want
help.
I want to deal with a computer.
Yeah.
And I don't care if it's taking away from real jobs. The introvert in me does not want to talk to you, which
That's
is
fine.
why I will hit
Yeah.
self checkout every single
That's why I love IKEA, because you can wander at your own pace. No one bothers you. You can look at everything, and then you just get the things yourself, and then you self checkout. And I didn't have to talk to a single person the entire time I was in IKEA.
You can even order food without a person at IKEA, which
Beautiful. It was built for the
beautiful.
introvert. Don't bother me. I'm fine. I don't need your help. I don't want your help. So it was
Yeah,
beautiful.
and oh, segue. And sometimes the extrovert in me cannot lay the fuck down
No.
because, and here's why, here's the rant I was going to tell Jill about. So I'm in a few Facebook groups, like our local running community, right? It's probably a couple thousand people. Sometimes I look just to see, like, what are the haps in the running world? Who's coaching?
What's
Who's
going on?
coaching what? What do people need, right? Because as a running coach, I'm like, maybe I can change some things, or maybe I can learn some things. It's always good to just be in the know. Every so often, somebody will ask a question, a very specific question related to themselves. This particular person asked, um, has anybody had plantar fasciitis before? I've been doing exercises and stretches for like 4 months. No relief. Will I ever run pain free again? And sometimes your girl just can't keep her mouth or her fingers shut. So I said, well, what, like, obviously what you're doing is not working. So, like, have you seen a physio? Have you had an assessment? Whatever. Comes out, couple comments later, their best friend's husband is a physio and just shot them over some exercises and stretches, which is what they've been doing. And I was like, well, did that physio ever give you an assessment? Because to prescribe exercises and stretches without an assessment of any kind seems a little irresponsible and not really evidence based from, you know, a healthcare provider that claims to be evidence based.
Mhm.
And they were like, well, yeah, maybe I should go see somebody in person. I was like, that's where I'd start.
Maybe a qualified professional.
And what annoyed me the most was A, what was this person expecting to get from this question? Did they want solidarity? Did they want actual advice? Did they want the slew of BS answers that also came in the comments? Like, do this. It worked for me. I just started doing calf raises and mine went away. Well, you know what? If you just started doing calf raises and it went away, you didn't have plantar fasciitis, you had a sore foot. Like, honestly, and it's funny because we were talking about one of Jill's TikTok videos where the comments are just like, I don't know, like social media is like wild to me that you could go on a Facebook group and be like, my hip hurts. What do you guys think I should do? And the answers that you could get from people who don't know shit about fuck, sorry of my language, but are
Yeah,
all over the map.
I'm part of a couple moms groups because I always get tagged in things.
Oh my
And
God.
it's
The
the
moms
same with
group
like
is even worse.
the comments of like, hey, I'm struggling to lose weight, which is fine to look for, like, point me in the right direction or who would you recommend. But that's never how those posts go. The posts always go
No.
like, hey, I ate 4 grapes and 6 almonds every day for 6 months, and that worked for me.
Yep.
So you could do it too. And then I'm over here being like, hi, my name's Jill. I'm actually qualified to help you with this if you would like to chat. And they never do. I'm like, okay, great. Take the advice from all these random
Yep.
people that don't know what they're
Just
doing.
keep eating your grapes
Yeah.
over there. See how
So,
far it gets you. I'll be here when you're ready. But
and I think
yeah,
we've talked about this many times, but especially with the internet now, you can find anything you want on the internet, but that doesn't mean it's right. Like, you could, I feel like I've said this on the pod word for word before. You could Google, is the sky green? And it would be like, yeah, sure is. So, like, the internet will tell you what you want to know, but you need to, like, be sure you're looking for the answers in the right way and from the right people. Like, even if you don't have the money to spend on a coach right now, talk to the coach you would work with if you had the money. They can at least point you in the right direction,
Yeah.
or like, I will give you a couple things to start with at least, and then be like, when you're in a different spot, come chat with me again.
And truly, I mean, we have said, ask us for advice and we will give you
Yeah.
advice to get you started.
But looking for advice from other people, that there's nothing wrong with looking for like support with people that have similar experiences, but just because something worked for someone else does not mean it's going to work for you. And I think it's funny, as a person who's qualified to give advice on the internet, I get ripped apart more than the people who are not qualified to be giving the advice. Like, the amount of videos I put out on TikTok and get absolutely ripped apart on, like the video Jess mentioned, was me telling people that you should eat breakfast. It was that simple. Like, hey,
it wasn't even that. It was like here's an easy way to eat breakfast and get like 40 grams of protein. And the amount of comments that were like, well, I thought your body couldn't process anything over 25 grams of protein. And I'm like, what happens to it then?
and the
And then
amount of
people will tell you, oh, it turns to fat. I'm like, okay.
my favorite
How?
comment, I think, of all of the comments. So, to recap the video, if you haven't seen it, but if you don't follow me on TikTok, you probably should, was saying that, like, if you're not hungry in the morning, that is a sign that your cortisol and your metabolism are not where they should be, because we should be hungry in the morning. In theory, you haven't eaten for probably like 8 to 14 hours. And I said that in the video. I'm like, it's probably been like 8 to 14 hours since you ate. And all these people in my comments are like, oh, bold of you to think I get that much sleep. And I'm like, that's literally not what I said.
I was like, first of all, who's sleeping 14 hours? Good for you.
Also, that's
but
not
that's
what
a
I
long
said.
time.
And all these people, my favorite comment was, somebody told me that I was giving harmful advice. It was like, I can't believe you would give this advice. This is so harmful to your followers. And I said, harmful to tell people to eat breakfast? Have you seen the advice on the internet?
No, the one that got me was, oh, okay, I should force feed myself. And I'm like, is it force feeding or is it being an adult? And knowing that breakfast will help your cortisol, help your metabolism, help your energy levels. Even if you don't feel like it, maybe you should just pull up your big girl panties and just do it.
And people that were like, well, I get up at 4 a.m. I'm like, okay, cool.
You could also make this at 4.
Yeah.
The time of day doesn't have an effect on the Greek yogurt thing that I made on TikTok. Yeah, it is wild. And sometimes I did read the comments on that because I was bored and I remember you telling me that the comments were wild and I was like, here we go. And sometimes I'll throw in a comment that's so just like, I usually try to pick the most positive thing and just like throw it out there. I'm like, I'll say something on Jill's post like, this is the best advice I've ever received.
And there is, don't get me wrong, I do appreciate the people that follow me and they comment and they're like, this was great advice, or like, love that I found your account, blah 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 blah. But not all advice should be taken seriously. And I say that even for like my content, your content, like not everything is going to work for every person. And that is okay if you stumble across something on the internet and you're like, you know what, that's not the vibe for me. Right. That's
totally like, yeah, not everything is for you.
Yeah. That's why there's different trainers, different nutrition coaches, different forms of exercise, different X, Y, and Z. Because if one thing worked for everyone, we would all do exactly the same thing and look exactly.
Well, I wouldn't have a job, really.
A quarter of us would have jobs because we would only need one type of exercise and one type of nutrition and X, Y, and Z. So if you see advice on the internet and you're like, that doesn't really fit me, that's okay. You don't have to take it to the grave and be like, this isn't right for me, but I have to do it anyways. You can simply be like, oh, that wasn't for me, and move on with your life.
Yeah, I think it happens more on TikTok, which I mean, it has happened to me on Instagram before when I made a post suggesting that most people foam roll too much. And somebody was like, but it's breaking up adhesions. And I was like, let me stop you right there, ma'am. That's not physically possible. Um, and they were just like, blah, 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 like foam rolling is the greatest. And I was like, okay, well, like if you want to spend your time foam rolling, cool. But can I offer you this? Like it's yeah, it's funny. I think in my maturity I've learned to most of the time if it's something that just pisses me off, I just scroll away because I'm like, I'm just going to pretend you don't exist because whatever this is just plain wrong or whatever. But this was an innocent runner who has sore feet who is asking the help of other runners who, like, look, I love you. I am one of you. Runners are nuts. They will do the weirdest shit. Like, like, I don't know if you remember, I don't even know if these are really a thing anymore, but there used to be like a splint you could get for plantar fasciitis that would hold your foot. So pretend this is your foot. It would hold it like in dorsiflexion and it would like attach on your toes and pull so that you basically sleep with your feet flexed
Okay.
to like stretch your calves. And I'm like, how is this a thing? Like, I don't think it's the sleep that is like killing your feet. I think it's like the the fact that you have hardwood floors and you don't wear shoes in your house. The fact that you haven't done a single lick of strength training in the last 15 years. The fact that you wear your shitty ass running shoes after you've retired them from running to do 90% of your other activities with, or the fact that you wear your shitty flip-flops all summer long, or um, any of those things, and you have the worst ankle mobility in the entire world and expect to go and run 25K every Saturday. Um, those are the things I would start with before I would buy a $30 split.
Yeah, and we say this a lot. And I haven't
It's a
figured out
very
how to
niche problem, but
I haven't figured out how to word it on the internet yet, but one day I will. There's like steps to this, like steps to everything, whether you're having running problems, nutrition problems, you're not losing fat and you want to be whatever. There's like a series of steps that most people would follow to help you get to where you are, or I guess me and Jess would follow to help you get to where you want to be. And usually the most extreme is not where we start. And I find the internet, and especially like Facebook groups and the advice that's given in those types of places, is really the extremes of advice. Like it's like, do all these things, or like, I want to lose fat. Like I said, eat grapes and almonds. Like it's very like, here's the extreme version of what you need to be doing. And I promise you, that is not the first step. If you are struggling with anything, the most extreme and drastic changes are not where any responsible qualified coach would tell you to start. So maybe don't do that.
do you know what?
Getting advice from Facebook.
Do you know what I do? The first, as a coach, if somebody said like I'm having like plantar fasciitis symptoms, my first question is, um, when was the last time you bought new running shoes?
Yep. And if you aren't
Because
willing to do,
because if they're a client of mine, they're already strength training. So, okay. But like, it's a very simple fix and it's a very easy fix for most people, right? It's like what, like 100, somewhere between 100 and $200. Okay, fine. But even, and then I'll be, if it goes any further, I'll be like, okay, like maybe we should get this looked at by somebody that we trust, like a physio or a chiro or whoever your go-to healthcare provider is. But it's wild to me that we jump to the like, well, that would be like me being like, well, obviously you need surgery.
chop
Like
off your foot.
if we put it in those terms, and it's funny because we even joke about that with kids, right? If they're like, they like skin their knee, they're like, do we need to cut it off?
Yes, cutting off
And
your
it like
legs. Yeah.
going to the extreme, and they're like, no, it's fine. And you're like, what if we did that? What if it was like, cool, like I have plantar fasciitis? I'm like, what if I commented on that next Facebook post I see, like, do we need to cut it off? I'm gonna start.
Just
I'm gonna do stand by for the results because I think I'll probably get blocked or like removed from a group for being
oh, you're gonna
inappropriate.
get yelled at for sure, seeing as when people were commenting about intermittent fasting on my video, and I was like, bro, I don't coach intermittent fasting because all the research on intermittent fasting is either done on special populations or males.
You're
So
like, I don't think this is for you.
there's literally no evidence to show that it is beneficial for fat loss for females anywhere. If you can find me a study that shows it, please send it my way. But all the research was done on special populations, meaning like people with other health issues, mostly diabetics or males. So if you are neither of those,
Also, can we just a little caveat here, a little asterisk? Anecdotal evidence is not valid here.
no.
We can be like, oh, okay, like it worked for you, but did it really work for you? Or were you just in a calorie deficit because you weren't eating all the shit you normally eat between 8 p.m. and 8 a.m.?
Yeah.
Or whatever the case may be. But that's not the same as saying that it works.
But I think it's interesting how like the advice on the internet can be so crazy and wild. But if the qualified person says anything back, they're in the wrong. Like I had someone be like after the 100th, when if I intermittent fast comment, I replied and I said, you do you. That was my entire response. I was like, you do you.
I could see your brain spiraling through the comments as it got longer and longer. Your responses got shorter and more direct.
So then I just picked a comment and I was like, you do you. And this girl replied and she was like, Jill, that was so rude. I was actually looking for your advice. And I said, I'm sorry. You're gonna leave a comment yelling at me on my own video and then get mad at me when I comment back. Like,
next time you need to make a video like out of that comment and be like, did the video that this comment was left on mention anything about intermittent fasting?
Yeah.
If the answer is no, the answer is no. Nobody asked.
Yeah. If the comment section of any form of social media is where you're getting your health and fitness advice, I would highly encourage you to pull yourself out of that and maybe like come hang out on our Instagrams, or clearly you're already the pod. Maybe choose to get your advice from qualified people. And maybe that's part of my problem is I don't start every video on TikTok being like, hey, my name's Jill and I'm qualified to be giving you this advice, because I think that's annoying when people are like, I'm a doctor. Great, congratulations. But
it's
if
just
you like,
it's like a video of that guy who does like doctor advice in his car wearing a stethoscope. I'm like, listen, can you not wear your stethoscope in your car? It's weird.
And I also found this is a tip for the not fitness professionals that listen. I find the more someone has to explain to you that they're qualified to be giving the advice, the less qualified they probably actually are. Like anytime people start a video being like, I'm a certified personal trainer, I'm like, well, suddenly I don't believe that you are. So the fact that you had to disclaim that on every video.
They're like, I'm a certified personal trainer and here's the best exercise to glow your glutes. And they show you like glute kickbacks and you're like, with a band?
Yeah. The more people have to disclaim they're qualified to be giving advice, I find the less qualified they are.
It's probably a good rule of thumb.
So
because even like somebody like Ben Carpenter, who is a phenomenal source of information and a fat loss coach. He just wrote a book about fat loss. He debunks a lot of videos on the internet. That's like his whole TikTok is just him like debunking videos, and he's very funny when he does it. So it's wildly entertaining. He never says his credentials.
No.
He's just like, I'm the British guy who debunks things.
And if you know, and this is where my theory comes from, I know I'm qualified to be giving the advice I do on the internet. So I'm not going to prove that to you. If you don't want to listen to it or it doesn't fit you, great, cool. My content, my space, my corner of the health and fitness industry was not meant for you. And that is 100% okay. You can go find the corner that is meant for you. But I'm not going to sit here and convince you that the advice I'm giving is quality. So just be aware of the content you're taking in, who you're taking it from. These are just things that we know as professionals being on the internet, and especially like TikTok is a crazy place. And if you watch one video on one topic, you're going to get 1,000 on them. My biggest tip I always give to my clients, and I say this in every single consultation call, I don't care what everyone else is up to. I don't care what so and so is doing with their nutrition. I don't care what Jess is doing with her nutrition or I'm doing. You have to
But you
find.
do care about me.
I do care, but in comparison of like, if I had a client being like, but Jess does this, I'd be like, cool. I don't really care what Jess does because that's what works for her body. And when you're taking advice from the internet, especially, just be aware that like it doesn't actually matter what everyone else is up to. You have to find the nutrition and the fitness and the recovery and the physios and all that kind of stuff that work for you. And I think it's really easy to get discouraged on the internet when you see all these other people doing things that you've tried and didn't work for you, to be like, but why did that work for them and not me?
And I would also say that, like, if you commit to working with a coach or physio or anybody like that, and whatever you've been doing for, I would say, like, in physio terms, I'm going to say 3 months. And in coaching fitness terms, I'm going to say 6 months. If you're not seeing a positive change in those parameters of time, it's not working. And I know that it really sucks, especially for like physios, because you're like, well, this is a regulated industry. I should be seeing results. But the thing is like, if you're going to a clinic that has one physio that has 4 other patients at the same time as you, and they're not really giving you like a projection of like how long this should take, and if you do this, like, typically you're going to have a physio, a good physio would, I would never go anywhere that doesn't give one-on-one attention per patient. B, I would never go anywhere that doesn't say like, okay, if X, Y, and Z line up, we should start to see some positive change in X amount of time. If this is not happening for you, you need to let me know and we need to change what we're doing because something's not right. And if something's not right, then we need to be exploring like an X-ray or an MRI or ultrasound or something like that to just rule out other things, because obviously physios don't have X-ray vision, things like that. But if you're just going to physio for like 6 months straight and everything's still the same and you're still laying on the plinth doing clamshells with heat and having an exercise therapist come and give you more bridges and more calf raises and stuff to do, that ain't it.
I
You
love
need
that
to
you're
go
saying,
somewhere
because
else.
I literally had this conversation with my client this morning because she's been dealing with some ankle issues and she goes to a chiro for it. But the chiro, first of all, only sees her once a month. And then also she's like, hey, I've been seeing you for like almost a year for this and nothing changes. And he's just like, okay, cool. See you next month. Like that's the end of the conversation. And if your coach or health professional or whatever you're working through doesn't have either a plan B or, like Jess said, can't give you a timeline. Like if a client comes to me and things aren't working, I'm like, okay, here's something else we can try. If their only solution is see you next week for the same thing, that's a red flag as well. Or they should be like, hey, you know what? Obviously, what I'm capable of isn't working. Here's somebody who can do some other things that might work better for you. If your healthcare professional doesn't refer out, that's a bit of a red flag as well. So just be aware that.
Yeah. And I would say, like, even though we can't give definite like end result promises, it's funny, I actually just listened to a podcast about promising results. There are measures of positive change that we can make that will show that we're moving in the right direction. So whether that is building a habit of going to work out on purpose, or whether that is, hey, you started off doing these with 10-pound dumbbells and now you're doing 15s, something is changing, right? There are small measures of success that we can give you. None of them are guaranteed, because you could tell me you're doing the workouts and you're not. And then I'd be like, well, I don't know what to tell you because I can't see what you're doing. But they should be able to give you some sort of measure of success. In physio, they have these things called outcome measures, which is like we're measuring like if your joint is moving better or if your strength has improved. And they actually have ways to measure that are not just like arbitrary whatevers, right? Like, and I think a good way to like vet your people is like look at who people like Jill and I follow, right? Because I think we do a pretty good job of vetting who we follow. We often send each other people to follow. So look at the people that you know are doing good things and follow the people they follow. Also, here's your permission to unfollow anybody who is not serving you anymore. I've followed a bunch of people in the past and I'm like, you know what? Your vibe has changed or you're starting to say things that I really don't agree with and I don't want to see it. Unfollow.
Somebody the other day was like, oh, do you follow so-and-so? And I was like, oh no, I unfollowed them because they made a whack post and it pissed me off like that. And sometimes
Or you can mute people if their vibe is just kind of like, yeah.
People will show you, I feel like I'm a dating advice right now. People will show you their red flags. And when you see them, know that like that's probably not the best place to stick around with. So
yeah.
If you have any like specific situations you've been dealing with or struggles you've been having and you're like, you know what, I've been doing X, Y, and Z and it's not working and you want advice, you feel like Jess and I can maybe help you work through it or progress, as always, feel free to send us a note or a voicemail or a DM or whatever, and we would be happy if it's within our scope and expertise to kind of walk you through what we would do. As always, take advantage of the free coaching. That's what it's here for.
Yeah. And if you need to get a hold of us, you can head over to the Instagram. We are at Lattes and Lifting Podcast. You can also answer the question if you listen through Spotify. It will be right there. You can comment on the YouTube video. You can comment wherever you listen to your podcast or send us a voice memo if you listen on Apple Pods or anywhere. I think the link comes up. And if you're looking for me, you can find me at JLack Fitness on all the socials.
And just a PSA, because I currently have TikTok comments rolling in still on my breakfast video. It's been a week. If you're ever on my TikTok and you leave a comment and I like it, it means I agree with you. I will forever ignore the comments that I think are garbage.
Good to know.
This girl is commenting, like replying to other comments on my video right now, which I live for, as long as it's what I would comment also, because then I don't have to do the work. You're doing it for me. But if I ever like your comment, it means I'm like, heck yeah, that's what I would have said too, but I didn't want to. So just a PSA, Jess gets her comments so that's
social media decoded.
That's my sign that I agree with what you're saying. But if you want to have a nice laugh at the comments on my TikTok, feel free to find humor in my misery over on TikTok at coachjill.april, and I'm the same over on Instagram. And that's all I got for you.
Cool. All right. Well, we will catch you next time.
Bye.